Highlights. Good morning to the 9:30 call. We are so excited to continue our highlighting of the early childhood agenda work groups. And we have recorded this so folks can, we'll post it in the materials for the early childhood agenda. And I'm so excited to welcome work group 4 to the call today. And so Titus and Carla and Laura, I see you. I don't know who I'm turning it over to, but as we know, the first question for the callers is just to tell us a little bit each about you, how you came to this work, and maybe kind of how you came to be the facilitators for group 4 would be great, or the leadership for group 4. So I'll turn things over.
Great. Maybe Carla can go first, and also Carla can give a quick mention of Kate Barlow, our co-facilitator who couldn't be here today, but sends her regards. Carla, you want to start us off?
Sure, I'm happy to. So I'm Carla Terrio. I'm at United Way of Mass Bay. I'm our Senior Director of Early Childhood. Prior to coming to United Way, I worked in early intervention for about 8 years. My background is as a clinical social worker. So I've kind of always worked with little kids and their families. And Work Group 4 was a natural fit for United Way because we have been running a developmental screening initiative for the last 10 years at this point called Drive. And so really excited to be able to work with the group to move this forward. And then Kate Barlow is my co-facilitator, she is the Mass Act Early Ambassador. In addition to being a professor, an occupational therapist, many other roles that she has. And she was not able to be with us today, unfortunately, but is also, we co-ran the first statewide developmental screening and monitoring week last year. And so this is definitely a really natural fit for her as well. So Laura, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Laura McGowan, and I am the lived experience leader for work group number 4. I came to the early childhood agenda from, long story short, from training with my local Self-Help Inc., CFCE, where I am a parent ambassador currently. They sent me to Families First, where I underwent the parent leadership training, which is now called the Ripple program. I'm currently a community impact ambassador with Families First as well. And they had told me about this really great initiative happening called the Early Childhood Agenda, and asked if I was interested in it. So I found out more about it. It seemed great. I talked to Titus and Amanda, and here I am. And I was willing to work in any work group. They all seemed really interesting to me. And I guess the greatest need for me was work group 4. Also, I'd like to add that I am a student right now and studying human services with a concentration in child and family services. And probably my most important role is that I have a little 4.5-year-old that I'm a mom to. So.
Thanks, Laura. And Corinne Kilbasa is our second lived experience leader. She's, I believe, going to join us in a few moments, and then we'll have her introduce herself when she gets here. I'm going to share the slides. I'm Titus Dostromedias. Most of you know me from Strategies for Children, but I'm working with work group number 4, mostly as note taker and slide sharer.
And Titus, give us just a little bit about you.
Yeah,
how you came to Strategies.
I came to Strategies after 5 years in the education field, working as a teacher's assistant primarily, and in nonprofit and community-based organizations in Rhode Island. And then I went to grad school, studied education research and policy, and started at Strategies in 2008.
And
Right.
I think this is also, Titus is probably more than a note taker and slide sharer for the work group. As we thought about our role as kind of a backbone agency at Strategies, each one of our team members is working with one of the work groups. So Titus is with work group number 4, and we'll make sure these slides this was a great slide. Make sure they are in the 9:30 call follow-up folder.
Yes, Titus is definitely more than a note taker, no matter what he says. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what Work Group 4 is doing right now. Our focus is priority number 4, of the early childhood agenda. And what that supports is developmental monitoring, screening, referrals, and delivery of these services. Our goal as a work group was to figure out how to increase the capacity and support awareness of the utilization of tools that are publicly available to conduct these things. And our facilitators are Carla, who you just met earlier, and Dr. Kate Barlow, who couldn't be here with us this morning. Because the scope of this priority was kind of large, we brought it back to the greater work group and asked them what we thought we should prioritize in order to, make the most out of our time and be the most effective. We did a survey through the work group, and as you can see from the results here, overwhelmingly more than half of our group thought that screening and referrals had the greatest need for focus on this. So that's what we decided to do. We strategized how we could zero in on the screening and referral process and what we needed to do as a group to just facilitate conversations and more awareness of supporting organizations. And one thing that I want to mention as well before we hop into this development is we had to, that's fine, you can switch it. We had to intentionally focus on who we wanted our target audience to be. Obviously, we wanted to impact as many families and children as we could. And we thought that the best way that we could reach the most people was to work directly for this one with organizations, because then they could bring these tools to their families. And our goal is to, again, reach as many people as possible. So Carla will now tell you how we're going to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. So as I mentioned in my introduction, one of the things that we did last year that was focused on developmental screening, that was not at that point related to the early childhood agenda, obviously, was the first statewide developmental screening and monitoring week. And so coming into this group, we talked about that with the group sort of early on as, this is one way we can think about targeting some of the pieces that came up within the screening space that were identified through the group map that we did in our group. And so that was things like consistent information for providers, consistent information for families. And so one of the goals of the statewide screening and monitoring week is really that awareness building and also getting that consistent messaging out. And so last year we had 34 sites sign up. Last year we gave out books to some sites, but we were running with no funding. Kate and we definitely had a team, a group of folks that were working with us on planning, but did not have sort of a formal entity behind us for the screening and monitoring week. So we're really excited this year to have the early childhood agenda really be behind this statewide screening and monitoring week. We have, as of now, we have 35 sites signed up. So we were already past our number for last year, which is pretty exciting. We've set some high goals, but I'll just stay with, we are hoping to keep increasing those numbers. We will share the flyer and all the information in the chat. I'm not going to attempt to multitask that, but we'll definitely share that. And the work group has really been key in thinking through a lot of the different pieces. So sort of brainstorming and like who could be host sites. We have a list of folks that could be reached out to, both to spread the word about the week, but also to potentially sign up to be a site. We spent some time as a group thinking about how we could use our working group force funds to support stipends for sites. And so the first, Titus, I'm going to get this wrong. Can you just come up real quick and just say it?
Sure. The first, well, first of all, I should say that because our work group is a little unique, we have co-facilitators, but, we have extra supply funding. And one of the purposes of our supply budget is going to be to give gift cards to the first 50 programs that sign up to host an event. So we have Amazon cards or another card if you'd prefer. And everybody that signs up, we're up to 35. So we only have 15 more gift cards that we can get out there. But people have been very appreciative. You know, people are using that incentive to, you know, think about their event a little differently, maybe use the funding to support the event, or divide the gift card up into smaller portions so they can award those to families, whatever, you know, people's creativity is for utilizing the gift card to make the event successful.
Thank you, Titus, for letting me tag you in without any
Thanks.
warning.
And I'm going to adjust my screen so that I can put some of the links in chat. So I'm going out of presentation mode here. But is there anything before we go to referrals, Carla, Laura, is there anything else you want to
Yeah,
say?
I was going to just go over a little bit more of what. So the group, we thought about how to, exactly what Titus just came up with and we just discussed in terms of the gift cards. That was really a decision made by the working group. We're thinking about how as a group we promote the event. There's actually 2 events. I'm trying to not make this super confusing, but we have the statewide screening and monitoring week where sites can sign up to participate, to host an event. That can be taking an event that you already have, so a play group, a parent group, and just signing it up for this week and having it focus on developmental screening and monitoring, or it can be doing a new event. We want to be flexible, recognizing that creating something is not always easy. And then we'll share at the end as well. Kate has also put together an ECHO event, which is a day of learning sessions that is free, and that can be signed up. You don't need to be signed up to participate in the statewide screening week to participate in that. So we will share all that information. It's on the slides. Absolutely put it in the chat as well, and I'm sure Amy will be in some follow-up. We also are sharing out a social media kit, and then most recently have been thinking about how we might be able to plan a training opportunity for folks that sign up for the developmental screening and monitoring week, recognizing that the piece of screening that folks talk about as being the most challenging is sharing results with families and making referrals. And given that referrals is one of the pieces that our group is focused on as well, we're looking at how we can offer a training for free to all the folks that are signed up to participate in the statewide week. That will be focused on sharing referrals. So we will send that information out when we have it. It has not been finalized, but it's something that the group has been talking about as well.
And then
I can
I'm gonna briefly share the list of the groups that have signed up. So this link goes to the Mass Act Early website. Great website, lots of good videos, resources, information. Kate Barlow manages this and updates it. So we have been, thanks to Kate and her intern, they've been updating this page. The flyer for screening week is here. The ECHO week of lunch and learns and other workshops is also here, coinciding with this week. So there's a lot of professional development opportunities, as Carla mentioned. And then here are all the programs. I think not all 35 are here, but most of them, I believe, who have signed up to host an event in that week of April, statewide screening week. So we have representation across the state: West Springfield, Turners Falls, Charleston, Northampton, Boston, Chelsea, Worcester, some Central Mass, Lawrence. You might recognize yourself, you might recognize your friends, programs, colleagues in this list. So that's the list, and I'm going to put that link in chat as well.
I actually just put it in chat.
Oh,
you talking gave me the opportunity to do that multitasking.
We're such a coordinated work group.
And I just wanted to let you know that Corinne has joined us. Welcome.
Awesome. Hi, Corinne.
Corinne, excuse me.
And I just wanted to add quickly, right now we are underrepresented with any agencies from the Cape and Islands. So if any of you are from there, or if you have connections there that you think that we would be a good fit for and we could reach out to them, that would be really helpful if you could share that, because we're really trying to get a full scope of every area of the state so we can assess all the needs and reach as many people as we can.
Thanks, Laura. You and I were on the same wavelength, because one of the things I was just about to say was, if folks can take a look at that list of who's currently registered, and if you see a piece of geography for the state that is missing, either let us know, or if it's your piece of geography, would love to have, you sign up the site. And if you have any questions, can reach out to anyone on our planning team. So myself, Kate, Laura, Corinne, or Titus. We can share all our emails out as well. Corinne, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll talk a little bit about referrals and then pass it back to you?
Hi, I'm Corinne Kielbasa. I work at the Kennedy Center in Charlestown. I'm a family engagement specialist there, and now I'm part of this one of the lived experience, and I'm part of this team, and I'm excited to be here. So thank you.
Awesome. Titus, do you mind putting, awesome. See, like a well-oiled machine.
Seamless.
All right, awesome. So I just want to talk, I know we've only got about 10 minutes left. So the other piece that Laura mentioned is that we are looking at as a group about what do we do, what can we do in this referral space? And so I liked this picture as we're in the sort of brainstorming, thinking phase, kind of drawing out the pieces and trying to figure out, this may have been a little bit too much of a stretch of a metaphor, but it's 9:30 on a Monday morning, so bear with me. But we really have mostly as a group so far talked about sharing our experiences, tips, concerns, and challenges around referrals, because within referrals, it's like its own multifaceted topic, kind of the way we started with our overall priority. So for now, what we're really focused on is compiling existing resources and how we'll share those out for folks participating in the statewide screening and monitoring week, recognizing that, again, that as an opportunity for awareness and kind of uniformity of some information going out. And then we're really figuring out what to do next. I think we're kind of in the depths of planning the statewide screening and monitoring week right now. But really we'll be thinking about, in the space of referrals, what could our group potentially impact? What has the most, what's the most concern for folks, but also where is there a space where we could potentially really kind of move some of the work some of the obstacles that are challenging for families and providers. And I think last week, Workgroup number 9 presented, and I think, there's some real ties to the work that they're doing in terms of looking at the sort of early childhood and healthcare space. And so I think there will probably be opportunities for us to chat with that group as well and think about what are the connection points and how could we maybe pool our collective thinking resources in terms of what we could do in that space. I'm also just trying to read the chat. Just see your question, Melora, a high level of what happens with developmental screening now. Do you mean the process of screening, or where? So kids are screened in a variety of settings. So pediatricians' offices, family engagement organizations, childcare, family childcare, home visiting. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. And then all WIC offices do developmental monitoring. And so the sort of process of screening is to connect with the family, do the screen, give the family the results, and then determine whether or not those results indicate the need for some sort of referral. So screening is not an evaluation, it's not an assessment. It is to sort of raise flags and then determine whether or not an evaluation or an assessment makes sense. I have no idea if that answered your question, Melora.
Well, let me jump in too. I think that the early childhood agenda voted on this as a group last year and a half ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, time flies, because we knew, I think, as a community, that more needed to be done in this area. Maybe we need to screen more children. Maybe we need to coordinate screening or the data. Maybe it's more the referral side, where the screening is good, good coverage, but the referral is where the ball drops, or where the eligibility for the next service doesn't happen. So there are a lot of policy and system change opportunities for this area, and we're just hopeful our work group can make some progress. Carla, is that fair? Would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I think the other piece that is interesting for Massachusetts is that there are a variety of early childhood developmental screening tools that are used across the different sectors. And so that, you know, in the pediatric setting, there's a few different screeners that are used. In the community settings, there's a couple different screeners that are used. And so really thinking about how all of those mean that no matter where a kid gets screened, they end up wherever they need to be, right? And so that's, again, where some of this consistent messaging, consistent resources is what we're thinking about. That's a great question, Kelly, whether or not the sites will eventually have a shared tool. I feel like that is a much bigger conversation that we are probably not in a position to tackle at this point. But it's definitely a really good question. I do think your point of inconsistent referrals, that's really that's why we were thinking about doing a training ahead of the week that would be really focused on kind of what are the indicators to make a referral and what's the right referral based on those indicators. So that's our current thinking in terms of how to support for where we're at right now. I think it's a really good question. Corinne, I want to pass it over to you. I know we only have a few minutes left, but I definitely want to make sure we get to hear your voice and have you share about the information.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so we only have a few minutes left, and we would just like to invite all of you to sort of sign up to host an event if you can, or if possible, pass along this information to any of your contacts, because I'm sure you guys have a ton of contacts that would love to hear about this. We are also happy to contact them for you. So if you have anybody that you have in mind, Laura and I have been reaching out to sites to help them get signed up. Earlier in the chat, Carla dropped the website at 9:47, it looks like. And so through that link, you can, if you go back in the chat, you can sign up to host an event. I'm sure this was mentioned earlier in the call when I wasn't on, but it can be a virtual event. It can be in person. It can just be something that's added to whatever you have going on already. It doesn't have to be a standalone event. And so you can sign up through that website, and we will get you onto the website so everybody can see who's hosting an event. And you can also sign up for the Echo through that link as well. And then if anybody is interested in doing any additional work with us, our next work group meeting is on March 5th at 1 p.m. And we would love for you guys to attend. So if anybody's interested in that, please let us know as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We had a question from Edna. Just wondering how families are open to screening and how families know about these services. Info posted in libraries. Pediatricians sometimes may dismiss early signs of developmental needs of children. It looks like there's a lot of action. Okay. So I think maybe outreach to families would be another, if you can help with that in general, would be interesting to have you part of the work group. I think also we did see that Carla was on the call when the work group number 9 presented last week, and just thinking about the kind of the interconnections of the work groups and mutually beneficial activities. So Carla, thank you for adding to the chat. Also, and in terms of other screening, Kim says, how many and when should children be screened? Ideally thinking about developmental overall and when issues present themselves. So that's I'm sure attention about, is it kind of regular screening and or when challenges are, flagged?
One thing I would say that I think I'm going to channel Kate a little bit since she's not here is that I think one of the pieces that's really important is that developmental screening and monitoring can be a continuum. And so when a child is screened, the developmental monitoring resources can be used by families in the interim before a next screening. For, the screening and monitoring is a big piece of that is family engagement and family education, putting families in the driver's seat as their child's first teacher, as their child's first educational advocate. And so the more information they have about what their child, might be expected to do next developmentally, the better resource they can be for their child, the better advocate they can be for their child. So it is, I think, largely about getting the information out consistently in lots of places in a way that's accessible and clear. And also, I think, to take away some of the stigma that can exist with things like screening, to really show families that this is something for everyone, right? Like there is a value in getting this sort of checkpoint and time of your child's development.
Thanks, Carla. And Titus added his contact information. Corinne told us about the next meeting of the work group in March. And just this week, we will be announcing a convening in person for the early childhood agenda in May. So stay tuned for that. And we hope to see many folks join us. I will sneak peek it. We will be in Worcester. So we're planning our next kind of in-person meeting. And so we'll continue to keep folks, that week of screening is the week of the young child, which we know folks organize around. So I would invite this work group to keep posting, keep coming in and adding things in chat so folks can continue to think and plan events in their own communities. Well, thank you so much to work group number 4 for your slides, for your information. We will continue to highlight work groups on the 9:30 call with kind of intersectionality of all of the work that's happening. It's been so exciting to hear the updates and progress. And I also want to think about and highlight the survey that you did and how thoughtful that was, and thinking about where you prioritize. We know that many of the issues of work groups are tasks to think about are huge and overarching. So just to think about highlighting and focusing on parts of the issue is great to hear. So we'll post the slides. We will see everyone tomorrow on the 9:30 call. I'm sure many of us will be or getting ready to be blanketed by snow tomorrow. One more for the virtual meetings that we can do. So thanks for joining us, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Have a great day.